Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Tiblets or Henry, whatever you want to call me. And this story is pretty crazy. So this story is about the first time that I did acid. Now, if you don't know, acid is a psychedelic tab that you put in your tongue and you let it dissolve, or you can just swallow it. And it kind of just messes with your brain, and it makes you see visuals. It's kind of crazy. It makes you visuals, you like feel really weird, and it's just all around an interesting trip. So grab a snack. Tell me in the comments. Again, I know I said this last video, but if you have a changed favorite snack, I don't know, but like tell me in the comments. All right. So yeah, all right. Let's get right into this video. So for backstory, I I play Roblox. Okay, I don't know. I'm a little old for that game, but honestly, Roblox is fun. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I play Roblox quite a bit actually. Just like kind of like, I don't know, my free time. Like, it's a good game. So I'm playing this game and it's called Neighbors. So this game is, it's pretty much like you go, it's like Omegle, but like no camera. Like you meet up with you see another person and you talk to them and there's voice chat, and um and then you can skip them whenever you want or whatever. So I'm playing this at like, I don't know, like 1 a.m. and I'm talking to people, and then I see this one girl. I meet this one girl. And let's call her, I don't know, uh Sarah. Let's call her Sarah. Yeah. So I'm talking to Sarah, and she tells me that she's tripping off acid, or tripping on acid, I guess. So I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. All right. And it got me thinking, like, I never had this thought before, but I was like, I kind of want to try acid because it seems like she's having a good time. I can maybe even trip with her, maybe my friends. And so I'm like, all right. But I do have a trip that I'm going to the next day, and I end up playing with her until 5 a.m. and I have a plane at like 9. So I'm kind of we'll just say I'm kind of fucked in the morning, all right? Because I'm super tired and I stayed up way too late talking to her. I should have went to bed way earlier. But so we get into the place I was going to. I'm not gonna say where it is because just for privacy reasons. But we get to where I was going, and I used to live here, and my friends used to live here, or I guess they still do live here. But fast forward about 4 days, I have a party, like a barbecue that I'm going to, and it's hosted by my friend. Let's call him David. Let's call him David. All right. So David, I'm talking to David about this Roblox show. I'm like, I'm at this ghost trip off acid, and this kid, he's super rich. Like, he's like a rich, like, good boy. Like, he's like the definition of a good kid. He's on the swim team. He works out. He like, I don't know. He's like a really good kid. So when he tells me something that I have never expected, I was surprised. He asked me, "Would you like to buy some acid off of me?" And I'm like, I bet. Honestly, I was like, I wasn't thinking straight, but I was like, all right, bet. Let's do it. Let's do it. So it is a little overpriced. It was $20 for 2 tabs. I've heard, I don't know, I'm not the professional at this, but I've heard you get like 3 for 15. But whatever. I had a $20 bill. I was like, all right, my first time, it's gonna be fine. But all right. So I have this, and I'm taking care of it. Like, I have it in a plastic bag. I should have put it in tinfoil, but it doesn't matter because the acid is fine. So through the whole trip, I'm like saving it in my backpack. I'm hiding it. I'm like trying for it not to get too hot, but also like not to get like moist and all of that. So I'm kind of stressing about it, but it's okay. I kept it safe until I got home. Now this is really where the real story begins. Like, this is where I get home after like a 14-hour car ride back home, because we flew there and then took a car back home because my stepmom was driving up there. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So I wait for everyone to go to sleep because I wait till about 11 because I know it takes like an hour and a half to kick in. So I drop this tab on my tongue, and I'm talking to, what's her name? Sarah. I'm talking to Sarah, and she's like, all right, do you have it in? I was like, yeah. So I ended up swallowing it because I'm too lazy. So I just swallow the tab, which doesn't really make a difference in the effect, but it's just faster. I guess it's slower. It kicks in slower, I feel like, if you just swallow the tab and don't dissolve it. So I was like, all right, we'll wait for this to happen. We'll wait for the acid to kick in. And I'm like talking to her, like nothing's happening. I'm like, okay, it's been like 45 minutes. Like, why is it nothing happening? She's like, it's okay, it'll kick in soon. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. And she's only done half a tab before, so she doesn't really know how long it's gonna take. So, excuse me. So I'm like, all right. I heard this one thing on the internet that orange juice helps with the trip. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go grab some orange juice. And we're about an hour in now. So I walk out of my room and I'm walking and I open my fridge and this like purple like I don't know how to explain it, like this purple like rigidy circle appears when I open the fridge. And I at this point I know, okay, the trip is starting, because this was nothing. It was like a really weird visual that I saw, and I was like, okay, this is really weird. So like, and I had no orange juice too, so I was like, what, like, why do we have no orange juice? But it's okay. So I walk back to my computer, and I'm like, okay, I feel like the trip is starting. She's like, okay, and so this is one floor in this game. It's like a floor texture, and it's a rug, or I guess a carpet, and it's like a bunch of like little pixels, and it's really weird to look at when you're tripping. So she's like, okay, come into this room and look at this. And I start looking, and there's like a little bit of like movement. I'm like, okay, there's like a little bit of movement, and I'm like, okay, that's probably like the in-game design. Like I wasn't the trip was slowly coming in, right? So I was only an hour and like 10 minutes in, so I started to see stuff, but it wasn't like that crazy. So but 20 minutes later, fast forward 20 minutes, I'm starting to trip. I'm starting to trip hard. So we're going around talking to these people, and she's awesome. Like I'm so happy that she, I guess, didn't really trips at me because it was over the game, but she was there with me. I mean, she was high. She decided to take a Benjamin. But it was a good time. It was a good time, and I hoped in the future I can trip with her because that'd be a really good time. But anyways, we are going around these people, and I'm starting to trip hard. I look at this like table, and I don't know how to explain it. It's like a red table with like a bunch of like lines, like kind of like curvy lines and stuff on it. And I'm like, this is moving. Like, I did not know this was not moving like to anyone else, but this was like 100% moving to me. And I was like, what? It's like moving around and all this stuff, and it was so crazy. And I'm looking at the sky. The sky is, no joke, the sky is changing colors. And like it's so weird. It's like changing colors and moving and spinning, and it's really crazy. I'm talking to her. I kind of sound like a stupid like 7-year-old. That's what I sound like. I'm like, what happened? That's what I sound like. And I lean back in my chair, and I feel like I just sunk into my chair. Like I'm one with the chair now. That's what it felt like, and it was really crazy. I'm looking at my ceiling, and there is like breathing. There's like it looks like there's like water puddles forming in it, like they're like sinking through the ceiling. I look at my closet, and like the doors are going back and forth, and it's so crazy. Like I was like, this is crazy. So we're talking. It's about 3 a.m. now, and we're talking a lot, and I'm like in the trip now. I turn on this movie. I kind of have a really low attention span. If you didn't know, I have ADHD or ADD or whatever. Like there's like a subtle difference. I kind of forgot, but I have like ADHD, ADD. One of those two. And I turned on my TV and I watched this movie called How to High, but I only watched like a little bit of it because I kind of started it one time, and then I was like, it's kind of boring, and I kept watching it, and it's so weird. Like their eyes are like up and down, and like it's so crazy. Like it was crazy, and they grow this weed beanstalk. Like it's a beanstalk of weed, and I took a video of this on my phone because it looked like they were like I don't really know. I don't know. It looked like they were like these weird like pink and purple things growing off of it. But when I look back on my phone, it was just weed leaves. It was there was no purple stuff. There was none of this crazy stuff. Just weed leaves. So my brain was telling me that there was like this purple like weird stuff going on. I guess I don't really know what it was. So I'm like freaking out, and I turn out the movie eventually, and I watched this other movie that I've already watched called Vivarium. If you haven't watched it, that movie is amazing. I would 100% recommend it. Vivarium. This movie was so trippy. It's pretty much about a couple, and they get stuck in this town where no one else lives in, and there's like a loop, like they can't get out of it. It's really weird. So there's one scene where the wife is laying down on some grass, and she looks up at the sky. But first, before that, her eyes are like moving around in my head. Like they look like they're like up and down, crazy stuff. And in the sky, there's like these clouds, and these clouds are like moving, but they're not in the movie. It's so crazy. So I'm like, okay, enough with this. I'm gonna look at myself in the mirror. When I say this is the riskiest thing, because I've heard really bad, like people have bad trips after they look in the mirror. But for me, it was really crazy. My eyes were like moving, like the pupils were going everywhere, but obviously they weren't. When I say they were going everywhere, it was just in my brain, and it was crazy. And I decided to turn my lights like these rainbow. I have LED lights, and I changed them to like this rainbow, like fading rainbow thing, and that makes the trip a whole lot crazier. There's a lot of colors. They're like going in and out. Excuse me. And it's crazy. And I start seeing like swirls and stuff like everywhere. It's really crazy. So I was obviously it was probably the tolerance talking. There's only a tab, but I've never done it before, obviously, as I said before, and it was crazy. And I was having a great time. Eventually, Sarah did get off because she was getting tired, and I was like, "Good night." Like it was really fun talking to you, and she's like, "Yeah, of course." And so yeah, this is a really good time. And when she got off, I went into this other game called the Mic Up. It's like a game where you talk to a bunch of people like at once, and it's really fun. And these people were talking to me, and I had no idea what they were saying. They're like, someone is saying like, "Life is Roblox," and I know that's a DJ Khaled quote, but like, it was really cringe of them to say. Like, it's funny sometimes, but they kept saying it like, "Life is Roblox," and it was honestly really like annoying because it was not funny. I don't know, it wasn't funny when they were saying it. But yeah, so that was kind of annoying, and it was kind of like, I was like, "What are you saying?" Like, I'm like tripping, and they were like trying to gaslight me too. They were like, "Yeah, what are you talking about? Like, what are you saying right now?" And I wasn't even saying anything. So I was like really confused, and so yeah. After that, I like laid on my floor and listened to some music and just like sunk into the floor. And overall, this is a really good time. I would say I enjoyed the feeling of it more than the visuals, because the feeling was so nice. It felt like I was like a cloud, and like I had some candy, and I felt like I was eating clouds. Like I was a cloud eating clouds. That's what it felt like. It's super nice. Honestly, I would recommend, but obviously don't take my word. Don't like do it if you don't want to. Like, for me, if you're ever thinking of doing it, I would say go for it. But if you're not, just don't. Like, don't get into drugs if you're, like, honestly, just don't get into drugs. I'm just doing this to, like, experiment, I don't know. I just enjoy it. It's kind of my, like, just my thing, I like to do that. I like to experiment. But, I wouldn't really say there's, like, a moral to this story. Like, I don't know. Trust yourself. Like, if you don't feel, like, I don't know. I kind of trusted myself, and I was like, yeah, and it all worked out. Like, don't limit yourself, because I don't know. Don't limit yourself. You can do whatever you put your mind to, and yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed my story. It's really fun. I have a lot more stories up and coming, and I'm gonna try to post daily. That's my goal, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. So see you guys in the next video, and peace out.